On today's episode, I want to unpack a really good article from The Athletic about some anonymous NFL executives and their thoughts on the Browns offseason because they covered a wide range of topics, and I did not expect this to be topic number one. Here's what one NFL exec said. It's such a weak quarterback draft and free agency class at the position. Is there a temptation to suck for Arch? If I'm Cleveland and I don't love Shedeur at pick number 2, I have a two-time coach of the year, a GM, got his second contract. So could that regime possibly survive a worse team in the league season to get Arch Manning next year? A lot of thoughts here. Let's start with the last point that this anonymous exec points out. Could they suck again and still have their jobs? Because if, let's say the plan is to tank for Arch. I love tank for Tua, suck for Luck. We got to think of one for Arch Manning. But if that is the plan, the big, what is it? Ask for Arch. Not a bad one. We'll workshop it, like the alliteration. But if the plan is to do that, then you got to have a lot of faith you're going to have a job when the draft rolls around next year. I believe that, I wouldn't say that Stefanski and Barry are fireproof, but they are in a good spot where I believe ownership has taken on a lot of the responsibility for the Deshaun Watson trade, and they're not going to punish Barry and Stefanski for the losses because of that trade. So even if they go 0-17, then they're probably getting fired. They go 3 or 4 or 5 wins next year, I would bet that they come back. So that's that first part right there. Now, the overarching theme of just get Arch Manning in 2026. It's very tough to think that far ahead. Initially, the Mannings were like, yeah, Arch is going to go to college for 4 years. He's been there for what? This is now going to be year 3 for him. He was a backup for 2. So his first true season as a starter for Texas would not be a part of the initial playbook for him to enter the draft after 3 years. The plan was for him to start 2 years at Texas, if I remember correctly. And this would be year 1 of him starting. So not a guarantee that he even comes out next year to begin with. Now, things change. If he's awesome and everyone projects him to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft, and a team like the Saints or the Giants or the Colts are picking number 1, I could see him changing his mind to go play for his hometown team where his uncle Eli played or his uncle Peyton played. The Browns, I'm not so sure if he'd look at that and go, yeah, I can't wait to enter the draft and go play for Cleveland when, let's be honest, when you've got 45 quarterbacks since 1999, it's not the most inspiring sales pitch to a young prospect. But being the number 1 overall pick might be something too tempting to pass on no matter who is on the clock. So, before we get more into the Arch Manning discussion, help us out here. I want to reach 43,500 subscribers before I get back from my bachelor party this weekend in New Orleans. So if I see Arch, I'll just kind of, do a little spot check for ask for Arch. What was the other idea that you had? Ask for Arch? Okay. We'll just do a little feeler. See, only if he wants it. But make sure to subscribe. That way you can get the best free Browns content available. Moving on, another NFL exec on a different subject had this to say for the Browns offseason. Are they drafting or tanking? If you are tanking, then you would be down to 1 year left on Deshaun. I'm sure they are like, hey, Joe Flacco got us to the playoffs, and we can do whatever. To be honest, I don't really understand what the last part of that sentence means. We can do, maybe it was one of those things where in person it made more sense than reading it out loud, but we can take this opportunity to talk about Flacco because he's still a free agent and it's a very popular quarterback with the fan base. Maybe the Browns feel that Flacco could make a return to help mentor a young quarterback. My only hurdle with this the whole time, well, 2 hurdles have been. 1, it would require Andrew Berry to kind of hand up, I made a mistake. I went with Jameis over Flacco, and we're bringing Flacco back instead of Jameis. And it's hard to sell that as to a fan base as to it had nothing to do with Deshaun's ego. It seems like it does. And now that Watson's kind of out of the picture, you don't mind bruising his ego by bringing a quarterback in that would be more popular with the fan base than Deshaun. Last year in Indy, he started 6 games for Anthony Richardson. It was not the same Flacco from 2023, and that's partially why I am not gung-ho about signing Joe, I feel that we should just kind of a combination of let the Joe Flacco 2023 season sit as is, a great memory, an awesome run to the playoffs, and not try and push our luck a little bit as he's gotten 2 years older, slight kind of regression from 2023 to 2024 in some ways, um, and just not the same quarterback that I think people are expecting to run out of the tunnel. So I'm not, you know, overboard in love with the idea of signing Flacco. They do it. I'm not going to be upset about it because right now it's only Kenny Pickett there, and that's frightening. But there will be additions made. No worries. So I'm kind of in the middle about it, but I lean towards no on Flacco. However, if I say no, then I have to have a better option, or at least another option. There's not a lot of great ones out there, so Flacco might be your best option. Before we look at the other quotes from this athletic article, I do have to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, GameTime. GameTime makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the GameTime app actually go down the closer it gets to kickoff, or in this case, first pitch. So, if you would like to get some killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. It's an awesome spot to check out if you want to get Guardians tickets or Cavs tickets or any other sporting event in your area. They also have zone deals. Save even more when you choose a section and let GameTime choose the seats. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Switching gears to another veteran quarterback that was discussed, Kirk Cousins. It's gotten a little cold on the Kirk Cousins front, but I'm not forgetting he just randomly appeared in Cleveland, Ohio in late March, and no one ever gave a real concrete answer as to why. I still think he was there visiting the Browns team doctor, which would not be tampering officially, and that way the Browns can get an update on his shoulder, elbow, and Achilles. And if those things all check out, then the Browns will feel more comfortable pursuing a trade with the Falcons. But here's what an exec had to say. Stefanski knows him, but I cannot see them going with another guy who is older and injured. Not that Deshaun is old, but he never got going. My thoughts on Cousins are circle back to him after the draft. I don't think the Browns are going to be aggressive enough to want to make sure they secure him pre-draft. They probably want to see if they can get some of the quarterbacks they are looking for in the draft. And if they don't, then Kirk Cousins could enter the mix. Even if they do, at that point, maybe they start to get a little bit more leverage over Atlanta as they call them out on their bluff to keep Kirk Cousins on their roster for the 2025 season. Also, post-June 1, it's a lot more manageable financially for the Falcons to trade Kirk Cousins. Now, we all know at this point that Kirk Cousins did not have a good, graceful 2024 season ending. He was just awful. And I'm not going to try and spin it any other way. I will try and spin it to the point that he was playing through a shoulder and elbow injury, and I think that's a fair thing to look at here when wondering how do you go from that strong start to that horrible ending. And with fair reason to believe, if he's healthy in 2025, we'll probably see that 2024 weeks 1 through 9 quarterback more than weeks 10 to 15. So for the right price, I think Kirk Cousins could be your absolute best option. And he does have a little bit of overlap with Stefanski. And I think Stefanski could be really attracted to a quarterback like Cousins who can run his system well as they kind of shift back from the Ken Dorsey offense to the Kevin Stefanski to tight ends, play action set type offense, which is something Cousins has a lot of familiarity with. So that's kind of a roundup of what some of the NFL execs league-wide think. One quick thing before we get on out of here. I do want to give a big special shout-out to Dean Coleman. Sent in a super thanks. Dean, you're a real one. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Really appreciate your generosity and the love you show us here. Now, let us end with this question. It's like a Bernie Sanders moment. Would you trade for Kirk Cousins? I am once again asking. This is from Reed. Once again asking, would you trade for Kirk? I know we've kind of gone the length that this question can go, but it
Producer
still
Reed
needs. Yeah.
hopping in. The amount of times I've had to build this graphic just makes me laugh.
I know. I'm tired of it too. Don't get me wrong. I would like a resolution. So I'm open to it, but not to the stage or not to the point of at any cost. No, I've got a ceiling, and for me, it's probably like a 5th-round draft pick. Here we go. Which card, Reed?
Let me go with King of Hearts. You want to fade me again?
No. I'll go Queen of Hearts.
Kind of the same.
Yeah. We're getting the royal couple. 10 of Hearts. 10 of Hearts. Thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time.